I want to buy a house, but I don't know how to accumulate the money for a down payment. Do you have any advice or tips on that? This is one of the most common questions we receive in the comments, and we will answer that today. Now, before I start, I want to level down the playing field for everyone because we have people tuning in from all kinds of different levels learning about real estate investing. So I want to give more context as to what a down payment is. A down payment is basically skin in the game. That's how banks see it. It's money that you have to put up front in order to buy a property, and then the bank will come in and help you finance the rest. Now, how does the transaction look like? So you have a house right here, right? And you put down the down payment, and then once again, the bank comes in and helps you finance the rest through a mortgage. Now, when it comes to down payment, there are multiple amounts that you can put down. Some mortgages will require a 0% down, some a 3% down, some a 5% down, and so on, all the way to 10, sometimes even 20, and sometimes even to 25, and the number, goes on, right? And the mortgage, the way they finance it is that it's directly related to the amount of money you put down. So if you put zero money down, that means the bank will give you a mortgage for 100% of the cost. If you do a 3% down, that means they're going to finance 97%, and the number goes on. All right, so we're clear on that. Now, on to the tips on how you can get access to money for your down payment. And the number one way, which is one that we've talked about over and over again in our channel, is through credit cards. Now, credit cards allow you to tap into funds at 0%. Banks offer credit card 0% for new purchase or through balance transfers, okay? Now, one thing I want to highlight that if you are going to use credit card, make sure that you do not exceed 30% of the total usage. So what do I mean by that? So let's say, for example, you have a total credit line of $50,000, right? Let's say you have $50,000 combined in all of your credit cards. So if we're talking about a 30%, that means that your usage on the credit card should not exceed $15,000, right? Anything more than that, you might not be perceived as, lendable or good because it's going to impact your DTI, which is your debt to income ratio, meaning that the way the banks see you is that you have way too many debt in comparison to your income. So if you're going to leverage the credit card, make sure that you do not exceed 30% on usage. Now, I want to take a moment to talk to you about Fund & Grow. Fund & Grow, it's a company, a done-for-you company that works with real estate investors and helping them get up to $250,000 in liquid money at 0% interest. This is a great offer, especially if it's at 0%, because you don't have to worry about interest payments anymore. And with that cash, you can actually use it to either expand your business or invest in real estate and continue to expand your real estate portfolio. So take advantage of this amazing offer with Fund & Grow by clicking on the link on the screen. Let's get back to the video. Now, the second way to accumulate or to get access to down payment is through government assistance programs, call it grants or second mortgages. And to provide some additional context, here are some of the government programs that you can get. So first one is the Home Buyer Grant, and down payment assistance grants are typically funds given by the state or state-run agency, and they also come from nonprofits. Grants are reserved for lower income home buyers, and they never need to be repaid under any circumstance. So it's kind of like a gift that you get, and you use it to purchase a house. So that's one. The second government assistance program that you can use is a second mortgage. And with these type of programs, the state or agency lends you the money and you pay it back monthly, just as you do with your main mortgage. The other option is to go through a deferred second mortgage. And with some down payment assistance loans, you don't have to make the repayments right away. So instead, you'll defer the down payment assistance payments and repay your loan only when you sell the house or refinance your mortgage. And in this case, the funds will come from your sales proceed. And another option is to use a forgivable second mortgage. And this type of down payment assistance is a forgivable loan. And as long as you stay in the home a certain amount of time, usually 5 to 10 years, the loan is forgiven and won't need to be repaid. If you do move or refinance your loan before that point, however, you will typically need to repay the funds or at least a prorated portion of that loan. Okay, so there you go. You have the government, grants, any second mortgages. Now, the third tip is to tap into your 401k. But this time, you're going to tap into it as a loan. Make sure you don't, meaning no, don't take a withdrawal. Because if you take a withdrawal from your 401k, you will have to pay a penalty and also taxes in advance of that. As opposed to when you take a loan, you take out the full amount without having to worry about any penalties or any taxes, and you pay it back slowly. And just in case, because once again, we have people of all kinds of levels tuning in today. For those who don't know what a 401k is, it's basically a retirement plan offered by your employer. So if you're not sure if you have one or not, just look into your pay stub that you get, whether every week or every month or every 2 weeks, and see if there's any distribution that it's going towards a 401k. And if that is the case, that means you do have a 401k plan, and chances are it has already accumulated some money in it that you can tap into and borrow against it. So you can definitely use that as the down payment for a home. The next one is basically through a cash gift, right? Because some people might get gifts from their grandparents over time, or from their parents. Any kind of cash gifts that you do get, you can actually use that money towards the down payment. The only thing that you have to do is that if you get a cash gift, you have to get a cash gift letter, meaning you have to write up a letter and explain where did that cash gift come from. Did you get it from your grandparents, or was it a birthday gift? Was it a wedding gift that you received? So as long as you explain the proceeds of those funds, you should be good to go with that money. Another option is to basically just partner up with someone. You can partner up to buy a home, and then you will, discuss the terms and conditions, and you can choose to write up a document, go to an attorney and set a promissory note up and say, hey, this person lent me this much money and it's meant to be repaid in XY amount of years at this rate. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is through an LLC. This way is typically used for investment properties, and where, let's say 2-3 partners, they get together and they want to buy an investment property. So they create an LLC, and that document will have everything laid out in terms of how much each of you actually put down or partner up together, and the equity that each and one of you will be receiving from that. So LLCs are typically used for investment properties. They're not meant to use for your primary residence, because if you do use an LLC for your primary residence, you might end up losing some of the benefits that you get with the purchase of a primary residence. So make sure that you do the proper assessment as to what's the intent of the property that you're buying, whether you want to use it as a residential home or whether you want to use it as an investment, and then decide how to negotiate the terms and conditions of the money or the partnering to go and buy that property. That's one way. Another way to get money for your down payment is by cashing out your investments. So cashing out investments, they could be cashing out your stocks, right? Actually, Anthony, the co-founder of NOVARISE, did that. He, over the years, purchased stocks, and he managed to grow a sizable portfolio that in the end he ended up liquidating. He ended up selling those stocks and used the proceeds of those stocks to buy a property. So they can do that. Other investors have precious metals holding, let's say, for example, gold. They end up liquidating that as well in order to come up with the money for the down payment. And some others, they just simply end up selling their own properties and using the proceeds to buy that new property, or using that proceed as the down payment for their next home. Now, the next tip, and this one that I use very often, and I've shared that multiple times at this channel, is through a cash out refi. or a HELOC. So a cash out refi is used typically on investment properties. You can also use it for your home, but a HELOC can only be used on your primary residence, so home only. And in order to apply a cash out refi or HELOC, you will need to own properties. So let's say, for example, you have a house that you purchased years ago for $200,000, and let's say now in the present is worth $350,000. So over time, you build up equity, and that equity is $150,000, right? You take $350 minus $200, that's where you come up with the $150, and you can actually pull that equity out through any of these programs, a cash out refi or HELOC. Now, you have to keep in mind that depending on the bank, you might not necessarily be able to pull all of your equity out, but the banks will allow you to take a certain percentage out of it. But that will highly depend on the bank you're working with. Now, I have a bonus tip for you. Well, more than a bonus, it's more of a reminder. You can also use your savings. I know this is kind of like a no-brainer, but this is all about leveraging every single possible tool that you might have. And savings are definitely one of them. So if you happen to have some savings over the year, or maybe some cash reserves that you have accumulated from other investments, make sure you use those as well as a down payment for your home. Now, each of these tips can be used individually, or you can actually use them combined. The bigger the purchase, the more you can combine all together in order to come up with that down payment that you need.